talking
benefits that migrants bring to this country.
Oh, but there's no question that migrants bring. America is a country that was built in part by immigrants.
But what do you stand on mass deportations? What's your stand there?
We need smart, humane immigration policy in America that includes a pathway to citizenship.
Kamala Harris again went on a mumbo-jumbo train where she got lost when she got pressed by a reporter about even just her opinion on migrants, even though she's the open border policy queen. It's Sean Daniel here. If you guys enjoy the videos, consider subscribing. Before we watch the interview, this piece of this interview, more of it, and more from the interviewee and what he realized and why he pressed her on this, we're going to check out a breaking news video of Kamala Harris behind the scenes before this interview in her prep.
Have you ever had a dream that you want?
I'm just kidding. Obviously, that's not Kamala Harris. But it sounds kind of similar, doesn't it? Because we've had so many instances where she mumble-jumbos, doesn't know how to answer a direct question, partially because she never takes questions from hard-hitting reporters. Most of them are softball, served-up easy questions. Like, remember when she had this question from Brett Baer that made 0 sense, which got exposed because she got pushed finally by a reporter.
Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump. You call Donald Trump. He's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump...
Why is he not on the ballot? Because he's not mentally fit. You see, when she gets pressed into a corner by reporters, by real reporters, she does not know what to do. And before we get into the actual answer, let's scrap that. And before we get into the interview and see what the interviewee, this guy from Telemundo, really pressed her on and why, let's remember, this is her when it comes to the border. She halted construction of President Trump's border wall. Her and Joe Biden took more than 94 executive actions to unsecure the border, many of which happened on the first day in office. She opposes deportations. I don't know if that's all true, but she ended the Remain in Mexico policy, letting millions of illegals into the U.S. She supports deadly sanctuary cities, and let alone, not just deadly, but financially irresponsible sanctuary cities, which takes tax-paying money and giving it to illegals. She funded secret flights for over 320,000 illegals into the country. And she supports mass amnesty for millions of illegals and wants to give them government benefits. Now that we know that, let's jump in to this interview that she had with Telemundo, this clip where this guy pressed her on her position on migrants.
One of the questions that you asked her about was immigration. Did you get any clarity from her on this issue?
Nope.
Hey, Jose, yes, well...
Why he say yes? Look at his face. Ready? Watch his face over here.
From her on this issue?
Not really.
Did you get any clarity from her on this issue?
Hey, Jose, yes. Well, you know, immigration is really one of the most important issues in this campaign. President Donald Trump actually saying yesterday that it might be more important than the economy. And it has been a real challenge for the Biden presidency. So I actually asked her, right now she's defending the bipartisan bill that includes more resources to secure the border, even shutting down the border and closing loopholes around asylum. But those are policies that President Trump defended when he was a president. So I asked her, on immigration, has Donald Trump won the argument? And this is what she said.
Right now, we're talking about border security, and there's nobody, no Democrat, talking about pathway to citizenship, an immigration relief, and the benefits that migrants bring to this country.
Oh, but there's no question that migrants bring. America is a country that was built in part by immigrants.
But people are concerned about their TPS, their DACA, we're talking about mass deportations.
I'm not talking about.
What do you stand on mass deportations? What's your stand there?
We need smart, humane immigration policy in America that includes a pathway to citizenship, putting more resources at the border in terms of security.
See, when your whole campaign is based on manipulations, manipulating policies to your benefit that are just not logical, when you have that plus you're not that bright, you're going to get caught in corners at some point. We all know how hard it is to just keep a lie going. You have to be pretty bright, especially under this great of pressure. So for her to be able to explain the logic, which is really illogic, of some of her policies, which is a lie, under intense pressure, because she's not so bright and not like an amazing communicator, she's gonna fall short at times, just like this. You know, the super bright people that are the brainiacs and the communicators, they can keep BSing you all day long, like Gavin Newsom from California. But it's just wild the Democrats propped her up to be the candidate when this can happen because her policies she stands on, she can't explain. Now let's hear what the reporter had to say afterwards and if he gives an honest answer.
Putting more resources at the border in terms of security.
So bottom line, Jose, she believes that we can have a secure border and also an immigration relief, but she mainly talks about securing the border during this campaign, correct?
And Hallie, meanwhile, you press the vice president on abortion rights. What does she have to tell you on that?
So that's interesting. They don't even want to keep going down. This guy doesn't want to address the question that this guy asked because it's logical. He doesn't even know how to explain her position. She likes the open border that she obviously initiated, but now she's kind of agreeing with Trump. So is she agreeing with Trump or no? Like, he can't even explain it. And of course, this guy from MSNBC who's like, you know, sitting there petting Kamala, oh my God, I love you. He doesn't want to answer the question. So he jumps to this abortion thing that this lady asked him about.
As you know, Jose, for Democrats, they see this as mobilizing, as a big way that they could potentially turn out voters in some of these key battleground states. It's partly why she's heading to Texas later on in the week. Texas is not a traditional presidential battleground by any means, but it does have one of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country. So she is heading there to...
We're going to see if they jump back to this other guy talking about immigration or they keep flying back to this topic with which they kind of have an advantage on. Makes sense. But that's not the job of this reporter. His reporter is to get back to the top issues, not just sit there and kiss her ass.
Abortion rights. You have to probably have a Democratic Congress, right? At least the way the political landscape is now. If Republicans were to win control of Congress, win control of the Senate, then that would be a potential sticking point for. Are there any Republican? Exemptions?
Where's the guy?
That she.
Are we going to talk about it or no?
Early on with finding.
Here we go.
And Julio, I know the vice president was tasked early on with finding the root causes of migration. Hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans have had to come to the United States in the last couple of years. And I know you asked the vice president specifically about her positions on Venezuela.
Yes, and it's important. It speaks to the first soundbite that you played at the beginning, Jose. President Trump defining her as a socialist, correct? So what's her position to Venezuela? As we know, President Nicolás Maduro lost an election in the summer. The question is, what is going to happen if he doesn't leave office in January when his term ends? What is the U.S. going to do if Kamala Harris wins the presidency? And this is what she said.
Is she going to support a socialist regime where, well, possibly even more than a socialist regime, regime where the Venezuelan leader might not leave because he's like, screw you guys, I'm staying.
We're not going to use U.S. military there, but let me be very clear also. We must stand firm as the United States of America and respect the will of the people in that election, and I've been very clear about that as it relates to the election that occurred in Venezuela. The will of the people must be respected, and this is why we've also issued sanctions.
The question is she going to respect the election here, or do they have some schemes going on when it comes to dealing with mail-in ballots like they did in 2020? We'll see.
So, not sending the military, which is an important thing to know from her, but also talking about sanctions that so far haven't really worked with Venezuela. And the question remains, what will really make Nicolás Maduro leave office? Is there a possibility from the United States to put more pressure on the Venezuelan president after his term ends, Jose?
Again, it's another example how she doesn't have force. I know I'm talking here from my little room, but just the logic of, we know if Trump was in office and Venezuela's trying to start some BS like that, he's going to make a serious threat. She made the serious threat to Iran not to bomb. She said, don't. And what did they do? Boom. Trump would make a serious call based on the negotiation stories we've heard that would, I'm sure, bring more threat and power than whatever the hell she's going to say. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's itsSeanDaniel here. Consider subscribing if you guys want to see more like these, or check out one of my other videos right here. And let's listen into Kamala Bamble again for 1 second.
Migrants America is a country that was built in part by immigrants.
But people are